Okay, guys, so this is today's lit lesson. There are two things that we want to achieve. The first thing is close reading. We are looking at a skill, okay? That is to say, this is something which you will be able to use in other parts of the year, even for other subjects such as English or maybe even history, okay? So, what is close reading? It is looking at the details of the text, okay, to make meaning, okay, to make sense of what's going on. And how do we do this? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to sort of make my thought bubbles obvious. Okay, so you should follow how I am thinking and looking at the text, what are the details that I'm picking out. Secondly, in terms of content, what we are going to do is that we are going to look at Charlie and his colleagues. Okay, what is the relationship between Charlie and his colleagues? Okay, and what are our initial impressions of that? All right. So let's go. What you need is your flowers for Algernon. Please make sure you have it. I am on page 10, as you can see, on scenes 11 and 12. So if you don't have it, please pause now and go and get your text. Okay. If not, you will need some writing materials. Okay. What I have with me is that I have annotation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to annotate at the same time. I'm going to take down some notes, what I think is important. Okay. So let's go. Okay, I'm going to start with my text. Okay, so here I'm not going to go through the whole scene. What I would like you to do is to look at the end of scene 11. Sorry, I'm moving around. Okay, so now we know that Charlie is oh, sorry, before we do that, I would just like to point you to something. Dr. Strauss, in this scene, Dr. Strauss is talking to Charlie about how, you know, Algernon is really smart now. And then Charlie asks him, is this going to be permanent? Okay, is Algernon going to stay smart permanent right down here? But what we see, okay, is that there is no answer. Okay, and what does that suggest? That there is no answer. Maybe Dr. Strauss is not able to answer, or maybe he cannot answer. It's either he cannot answer or he doesn't want to answer. Okay, so now let's look at it. Charlie says, I'm going back to work at the factory. Okay, we look at here, Charlie still is not able to spell correctly, right? They said I should go back to work, but I can't tell anyone what the operation was for, and I have to come to hospital every hour, blah, blah, blah. So now, Charlie seems, he's still very matter of fact, okay? But let's look at this part. This is very interesting. Charlie says, I'm glad I'm going back to work. This is his emotion. He is glad because sorry, the color's not very clear. Because I miss my job and all my friends and all the fun we have there. Now this says a few things about Charlie. Okay, now I'm gonna take down some notes, okay, which I think are important. So scene 11, sorry. Scene 11, this is important because this is the first time we hear Charlie talk about his colleagues, right? It is as if it is an off-screen introduction. Nearly as if it is the first time, it's our first contact, okay? First contact with his colleagues. And what does it do is that it sets up the audience's expectations. You and I, we are the audience, okay? So what are we expecting at this point? Okay, clearly what we are expecting is that Charlie and his colleagues, I'm just going to write Charlie loves colleagues, okay? Why? Because he says that he misses his friends, miss my job, okay? All my friends, and all the fun. Sorry, my handwriting is terrible. Okay, so we get this very positive impression. Okay, that's how we can sum it up. So to us, what are we thinking now? That Charlie loves his colleagues, right? That they have a very healthy relationship. Okay, so this is what is going on in our minds. However, what is going to happen is that in scene 12, we are going to see what they are actually like. Okay, so scene 12. So let's have a look at scene 12. Okay, so now we have looked at how the author set up our expectation. Now, of course, you and I must start to think whether this expectation is about to be fulfilled. So let's look at scene 12. Okay, let's have a look. So it says Charlie is mopping the floor. He's singing tunelessly to himself. Joe says, "Hey Charlie, let's have a look at operation." Laughter. This is interesting. Laughter. Why is there laughter? Okay. Several men and women have gathered. So my question is, why have they gathered? So why? Is it like there's are they an audience? Okay, is there a show going on? Sorry, I really can't see this. Okay, and there's laughter. Why? Because they know that something funny is going to happen. Clearly, if something funny is going to happen, it has happened before, right? They gather because they know what is going to happen. Which means that this has gone on for many, many times. Okay? And then we look at Charlie. Charlie is anxious to please. What is anxious to please? Anxious to please is like, I really want to make everybody around me happy, you know. And that is something which is very interesting, right? It's like, what does it mean? He's very well-meaning, okay? Charlie is well-meaning. Let me write it down. And in fact, he is unaware of what might happen, right? Okay, and he says here, see, so Charlie is very, very innocent, right? He's very, very pure in a way. And then we see that Frank says, what did they do, Charlie? Put some brains in. Obviously, immediately, this is very offensive. He's saying that Charlie has no brains at all, right? And more laughter means that everyone joins in. This is mass bullying, isn't it? Nobody stops. In fact, instead of stopping, people are laughing, okay? And it continues. Joe says, I don't think he had no operation. Nah, I think he forgot his key and opened his door the hard way. What is this hard way? I think it means if you forgot your key, you can't open your door, so you have to what, bang down his door? So what is their attitude towards Charlie? Okay, they are making fun of him, isn't he? And to what end is because they can get everybody to laugh. This is the reaction. Okay, so Charlie is, it's nearly as if they're like at the zoo, right? And Charlie is just an animal that they're using. And perhaps the saddest part is this, okay? Slowly Charlie joins in. He joins in. What does that mean? What does Charlie feel? So Charlie feels that feels accepted. He wants to be part of the group, right? Okay, which is very sad. Don't you think so? Say the laughter fades, so it seems that they're moving away from the scene, and it says we had a lot of fun at the factory today. Frank and Drew really made me laugh. They and their friends, they like me. This is Charlie's perception. This is what he believes, but is it true? Okay. Okay, and let's have a look at this, okay? So we know Joe and Frank obviously mean. This morning, the foreman, okay, foreman actually means, Charlie spelling it wrongly. Foreman means like the boss, okay, like a mini boss. He's in charge. Used my name when he shouted at Leroy, the office boy. Leroy lost the package. He said, Leroy, for God's sakes, are you trying to be a Charlie Gordon? So what does it mean? Charlie Gordon is like another word for what? For slow or stupid, right? It's as if I'm calling your name, or don't be a Mr. Low lah. Every time always blah 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 blah, something like that. Okay, so it says I don't understand why he said I never lost any packages. Again, what do we see? Charlie is very innocent, right? Okay, So this is how I started to pick up all the small details. Okay, so why is this useful? Because guys, when you are explaining things, okay, when you're explaining things in your essays, when I look for explanation, that is what I'm looking for. Okay, so now come, let's do a quick summary. Just now we were looking at scene 12, right? Obviously there is a difference between two things, and what is that difference? It is Charlie's perception versus the reality, right? So what does Charlie feel? Charlie feels he feels liked. Okay, he thinks Joe and Frank are his friends. But what is the truth? Instead, he is instead of, oh, so sorry. Instead of being like he doesn't Joe and Frank are bullies, right? Bullying him. And also the reality is nobody, right? The reality is nobody really likes Charlie, do they? Okay, so this is how to do a quick recap, this is how I look at the details of the passage to really figure out what is going on. Okay, after that, so I did all the annotation, right? After that, I zoomed out and I look at Charlie's perception versus reality. And what does all this show me? Okay, this, how shall we say this? Instead of feels like Charlie is a tool, right? So clearly there is a big difference, right? But why? Okay, when we talk about why, we start wanting to think about what does the author want to show. Clearly, we are meant to pay attention to what? To the difference that I mentioned, right? And why I think we are supposed to look at how Charlie is being treated versus what he thinks maybe, excuse me, it's a representation of what things are like for people with mental disabilities. Okay, so in summary, let's have a look at the lesson objectives again. It is about close reading. Just now we looked at detail, and we also managed to start to look at how Charlie interacts with his colleagues. So of course, over the course of the rest of the play, we also want to, in future, how does this change? Okay, so I will send the annotation to you guys as well.